Well, earlier in the program, we played you a little bit of a press conference live from Washington, D.C. of Foreign Affairs Minister Penny Wong after her meeting with her counterparts at the Quad. So what do we draw from that so far? Joining me live is Political Editor Andrew Clennell. Andrew, appreciate that, so for you coming on. What we saw was somewhat of an apology from Marco Rubio, the US Secretary of State, to Penny Wong about the missed meeting at the G7.
Yeah, well, something akin to that, I think, is what Penny Wong's saying, Kenny, and I think that's obviously welcome news for Anthony Albanese, who spent breakfast interviews yesterday getting peppered by questions about when you're going to meet Donald Trump and have we got a problem here. So that, I mean, what else would Marco Rubio say, or could he say, I guess? But I mean, that would give the Australian administration some hope and the perception back here at home that there is hope that there'll be a meeting soon, as the Prime Minister says, most likely in September, whether it be the Quad in India or after he visits the UN General Assembly in New York. So it's on the way, you'd expect out of that. But Penny Wong also some pretty interesting comments in that press conference about, look, you know, she said we have a deep security partnership with the US and that's going to be maintained. But we understand and respect Americans. This administration does things differently. And by that, I think she means the America First policy. So I think she's sort of saying maybe we won't be as pally, America and Australia, as we have been in the past. We're not such a big consideration for them as in the past. I think that's what Penny Wong's trying to subtly get into there when she gives those responses.
It's a pivotal time as well in their relationship. We've got the AUKUS review happening as well. Next week is the tariffs deadline too. Yeah. And there's been this talk about whether defence spending is tied somewhat to tariffs. Yeah. But an indication there from Penny Wong this morning that Marco Rubio did not directly raise defence spending with Penny Wong.
Yeah, well, that's surprising, isn't it? Having said that, I guess he's kind of Secretary of State as Foreign Affairs, and Pete Hegseth is Defence, and he raised it with Richard Marles, as we know, in the Shangri-La dialogue in Singapore. So it has been raised. I mean, without this meeting with Trump, how could you expect a positive result for Australia next week? The best we can hope for when the tariffs decision is made is status quo, I would have thought. What we really want, we're probably going to get the 10% no matter what.
Yeah, no change.
But the question is, can we get a bit of an exemption on steel, because the UK's managed it, at least up until July 9. And I think that's probably the one the government will be hoping for. They've started to use language like we're on the lowest tier of tariffs, which is true. Defence spending is where it's going to get a bit prickly for the government, particularly because the Prime Minister's pretty stubborn about not wanting to go to some sort of figure or be directed by another country to go to such a figure. And our government started talking about the fact that, look, a lot of their defence spending includes things like roads and bridges, these arbitrary targets. So the argument from the government is we are doing our fair share on defence.
Yeah, and it's what comes back from this Quad as well, because we know that a focus has been on critical minerals supply chains and whether that can bolster Australia's position in terms of the security, you know, their national security.
Yeah, well, it's my understanding that we were close to a deal before the first round of tariffs, and Kevin Rudd and Don Farrell and Madeleine King have been working on that, and kind of Howard Lutnick and Jamieson Greer or some other officials in the administration might have been okay with that. And then Peter Navarro, who's the really hawkish trade advisor for Donald Trump, got involved and go, no exemptions, President, let's not do this. And it never happened. So I guess the hope from the government would be if we were close to a deal on it once, and, you know, at the moment those critical minerals only supplied by China primarily. You know, there's some hope Australia presents the US with some value there for defence technology and other technology.
And maybe a carve-out later on.
Yeah, that is our best hope, there's no doubt. But it's hard to see happening without that Albanese-Trump meeting. So I'm not expecting big things for Australia July 9, put it that way. We've got to hope it's not an even worse situation. That's the main hope for next week.
Okay. Andrew Clennell, good to see you. Thanks so much.